Hello and welcome to the very next episode of Life Under Lockdown, and I'm delighted to see for the very first time in a few months Louise from SPUC. How you doing, Louise?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really getting into the groove of lockdown.
Starting to enjoy it.
I'm starting to enjoy it because I'm doing these interviews every day, as I was saying earlier on to you, and it's so easy to pick people up because you can just presume that they're going to be in their houses. Even if they're working, they're going to be working at home. And you're one of the ones that are working at home just now. What are you doing for SPUC at home?
Yeah, so it's a wee bit different just in terms of kind of events and things like that. I was really lucky to get the youth conference out of the way before all this happened, because that's a pretty big event for SPUC. So I was really happy to get to do that. The next big thing I'm sort of working on events-wise is Project Truth. So I'm still hoping that that's going to be a thing. We do it in August, the roadshow. I'm still recruiting for the roadshow, which is great. And I've had about 22 people say that they're interested. So that's really good. We're going to be putting a few things out over the next couple of days just to let people know that it is still on offer. So maybe come mid-May, we'll make a decision on whether that's going to be able to happen, because I think a lot of things is up in the air just now. We don't really know what's going to happen. So I'm being optimistic and I'm kind of acting as if it is going to happen. So I really hope that it is. It's given me an opportunity, I guess, as well to do things that I've been trying to do for a wee while and tidy some stuff up and kind of better the training for Project Truth. So I've sort of just been dragging together different bits and bobs that I've been looking at and pulling it together for the training materials, and not only that, just try to get a few wee quotes out on social media and things as well. So yeah, it's been good.
It's interesting because obviously, as I saw one of these memes, I don't know what the situation fully is in the UK, but I assume that abortions are still going ahead.
Yes, they are. I think, like a lot of people have probably seen in the news, one of the big things to come out of it is the abortion pills, both pills at home now. Before we had the introduction of women being able to take one of the pills at home, but now during this lockdown, what's been happening is they've been able to get like a sort of online consultation, I guess, and they get the pills posted out to them. So, I mean, I would see that as very dangerous, because there's no kind of medical supervision or anything, regardless of what you believe about abortion. I think it's a pretty dangerous thing to happen. So it's been a massive concern for the introduction of this, but it's went ahead anyway, and abortions are still happening, so that's not slowed down.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I think the figures from Italy, and I'll maybe have to verify this, but I read somewhere that they're down 95%. Is that correct?
I've heard a few things. I mean, I'm not entirely sure about the UK statistics as such, but I've heard a few things online about other countries saying that they have been down, and I've heard something about America as well. So I'm not entirely sure where the UK is sitting at the moment, but I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think a lot of countries are trying to bring in different, provisions to make sure that this is still going ahead.
I mean, it's an interesting thing altogether. I mean, it raises a lot of questions. Obviously, what's essential services, and obviously a lot of the time, 98%, 90.3% or something like that in Scotland, it was used as a contraceptive. In essence, abortion, it wasn't for medical reasons as such. It was, just to prevent birth because it was an unwanted pregnancy as such. So part of the things I'm thinking about here, just in kind of raw terms, we're all locked down. Then let's not talk about the birds and the bees, but people are not meeting up as much. So
let's not.
Yeah, this is it before the watershed. I
think you need Emmett for that kind of chat.
I'm just thinking, how is that still a demand? Yeah, obviously there can be people in couples, and there's other scenarios as well. I understand that, but surely if the raw figures come out, you must be seeing a drop in that. And I just think it's beggars belief that it's still, it's still considered and it's still going on in this even more extreme way that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I did read as well is obviously people have been bending over backwards to allow women to do this at home, but then I read somewhere that they'll need to go for a checkup after it. I mean, I don't know the kind of the 100% truth in that, but I read somewhere that they need to go for a checkup afterwards, and I was like, was that not just kind of defying the whole point of what it was introduced for in the first place? Like,
yeah. We are at a moment, we're at a cross point, really, a crossroad rather, for how we view life in this country. We're looking at, quite rightly, we're looking at the scandal that's happened in the care homes. Myself, I've lost an aunt in that situation from COVID-19. And the questions will be asked when this is over, who did what and who planned correctly for it. But I think the question it comes down to is, what do we care for about life? What do we respect about life from womb to tomb? So every life's valuable, every life is distinct, unique and worthy of respect. And that includes our elderly and those who have dementia and who are ill. So that's something I think we really need to really think about,
Yeah, and I think a lot of people I have seen online that it is kind of, without talking about pro-life things, people have been kind of recognising the value of life. And I guess that has been quite nice to see, those people just recognising that, whether they know they're recognising it or not, just people are kind of looking out for each other and, not want to hurt each other and stuff. So that, I suppose, has been one little thing that's been good.
I mean, to be honest, aside from all the kind of negative things that are going on in the background, there are a lot of positives to lockdown. You've been having fun yourself. You're posting, let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, quarantining. Having a wee martini in quarantine.
You drink responsibly.
Yes, always. No, it has been good, and I guess there has been a bit of sadness. Usually my kind of normal daily routine would be go to 8:15 mass at the cathedral in the morning, so I've really been missing that, and just kind of the routine of starting off my day like that as well. And I like to do, I've found a mass that starts before 9, and it's good to be able to do the online mass. And I've heard a lot of people that, although it's not the same as going to mass, people have been tuning into daily mass when they normally wouldn't have been going to daily mass or able to go to daily mass, which is only a good thing, I suppose. And also I've seen a lot of people taking up more devotional things. So people that perhaps wouldn't have prayed the rosary every day are now praying the rosary every day. So that's really good. And usually kind of the routine in the morning is Divine Mercy in the car in the morning and the way into the cathedral, and then go to mass and then head off to work. And if the rest of the day goes to pot, at least I've started it off well. But kind of what I've been doing now, just because obviously if you're in the house and you're surrounded in the same environment, I quite like to either pray the rosary when I'm driving or something like that. So I've started going out for a walk, and I found a route it's actually not bad. It goes around a big circle. Takes about 40 minutes or so. So I listen to the Divine Mercy. It's don't know if you know Father Rob Galea. He was on, I think it was something like Australia's Got Talent or something like that years ago. But he's a singer, and he does a lot of stuff like that. So he does a Divine Mercy chaplet with a few other singers, which is the kind of old EWTN. Remember the one you used to get on EWTN? I think they still play it. Yeah. But it's obviously they've harmonised it and things like that, and it's really nice to listen to. So my wee routine is listen to that, and that gets me about halfway. It takes about 20 minutes, and then I'll pray the rosary, and then maybe listen to a wee bit of music at the end if I've got time. So yeah.
What do you miss most in quarantine, apart from me?
Apart from you, aye.
Ryan, sick, please.
Yeah. No, I miss my wee nephew actually. So he's 4 months now, so he's kind of starting to do all the kind of, he's at that kind of stage where he's a lot of firsts, so my brother's been sending me loads of wee videos of him, and he rolled over for the first time the other day, so that was he looked totally shell shocked. It was kind of like when he rolls over, everybody's going yay, and he's like why are you cheering? So yeah, I'm getting lots of wee pictures of him and things like that, but I guess you kind of miss just being there for those firsts.
Yeah. And well, maybe this is an obvious answer. What's the first thing you're going to do when lockdown is finally released?
The first thing I'm going to do, I don't know.
You're going to ditch the quarantinis?
No, I think it's into the routine now. I've not really thought about the first thing. I guess just going back to normal, but there's a lot of stuff that I suppose I've been enjoying having time to actually just have consecutively home cooked meals, because a lot of the time if you've got lots of events on in the evening or various things that you go to, you don't really get time to cook and you end up just eating nonsense. So I think
can explain that as very, very clearly. Now, people might have seen a physical change in me over the last 2 months. I tell you one thing, I'm jealous of Brian, absolutely jealous of Brian, because Brian is stick thin, and he eats the same things as I do, but unfortunately for me, it's not stick thin, it sticks to me. So we spend, like, as you say, doing the events and stuff. We're going out, you're doing things, and you just think, I'll just get McDonald's, just get a Greg's. And I was getting fat. I was feeling like someone was pumping me up. I was turning into like, and I've lost, since lockdown, I've lost 2 stone. Can you believe it? 2 stone.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know, I've not even weighed myself. To be fair, I probably put it on, to be honest. But at least I'm eating. At least I'm eating better.
You're giving you a wee glow.
Yeah. It's just where the sun's at my window just now. Yeah, but I'd kind of like to keep the. I'm not an exquisite chef in any manner of means, but I'd like to just
the 3 Michelin stars, nothing much.
Yeah. So just trying to keep cooking and things like that, and I have sort of become that person that listens to like comedians' autobiography while I'm cooking. So, I've been through 3 of them.
Chef thing.
So I quite like, listening to something that doesn't take too much brain power just when you're kind of pottering about the kitchen and doing the washing up and stuff. So right. I've become that person that's listening to people's autobiographies.
Well, it's funny. There's a lot of positives in it. Where it seems to me, and I've covered so many Catholic kind of angles, different people, different ages, different countries. It seems to me that Catholics are finding their way through this. Through bereavement, through illness, through fear, through anxiety, and I think we are now at the point where we're trusting more in God's plan overall for what it has in store for us, and I think that gives us all great peace. Yeah,
I mean, like I said before, it is a great sadness not to be able to get to Mass, and I know a lot of people are really struggling with that, and not to get to adoration, and not to, but I think there is an element of, like you say, Catholics just having that hope and having the grace through prayer to get through it as well. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of online things, and way back at the beginning of this, the Dominican sisters up in Elgin.
Yep.
A wee shout out, hi sisters. They did a Zoom retreat, so I didn't really know what I was going in for, because they had organised a retreat and it was all around silence, and they had to cancel the actual physical retreat, obviously, but they decided to go to Zoom, and they invited
a silent retreat.
To go to it. No, it wasn't. It was on silence. It wasn't silent. All the wee Zoom things.
First of all, I couldn't do a silent retreat. No, I could cheat and mute my mic.
Yeah. But it was very good. There was about 35 young women on it, and I was really impressed with how the whole Zoom thing as a retreat worked out, and the screen sharing and stuff like that you can do even with PowerPoints. And Zoom's got wee breakout rooms as well, so that was completely new to me as well, because I was like, that's class, that it's got breakout rooms. So that got me thinking as well, what can we do in regards to using Zoom? So I did have a wee youth social, I think it was Tuesday last, and it was actually good. We had about 22 young people on it was like a wee pub quiz. So I did it on that a couple of rounds on that Kahoot platform where you answer on your phone, and that was a good laugh, because you're kind of time sensitive as well, and it's like multiple choice. So that was a good laugh. And then I had a few more practical rounds as well, which was a wee bit different. But it was a good laugh. It was like kind of a wee lock-in, so I was entertaining myself with all the kind of different things that I was saying about, doors will open but stay shut at 8 and things like that. But
I guess your joke's not funny, the more quarantinis were consumed.
Well, yeah. But even the breakout rooms were quite good as well, because Kahoot, on the sort of free version, only lets you use it with 10 people at a time. So if you break them into different rooms, you can go and do round 1 with the first group, and then go do round 1 with the second group. So it's quite good to use it in that sense.
Good. That's interesting, because there's so much the things we're learning. It's really I think it's a blessed time. I think we're going to look back at this time with fond, obviously there's been hardship, but I think we're going to look back at it with fond memories in some sense, and that's what's getting me through every single day. I think I'll look back and I'll say, well, I had all that time to do what I wanted to do, and to do some studying, do more further studying, do more praying, more time to myself. I think we'll look back and think, well, it's a great chance we've been given, really, and we need to make the most of it, because you're not going to get, hopefully we're not going to get another global pandemic again,
Yeah, one's enough. But even on that kind of theme of silence as well, I thought that was really poignant when the sisters had the retreat on silence, and we were just at the beginning of the world kind of slowing down and going into silence, and it makes you think, for all the difficulties that brings, you're kind of forced into a little bit of your own silence in a way. And I guess a lot of people are uncomfortable with that because the world is so busy, it's so loud, it's so noisy. And, you know, a few years ago, I would have been quite uncomfortable with the idea of being in your own silence. You know, if you're in the car, you had to have the radio on, or if you're in the house, you had to have some music channel on in the background. But it's not until you actually get comfortable in that silence and in prayer in silence as well. And I heard a quote actually, and it was, if, I don't know who said it, but if you listen carefully, the silence is beautiful. And it's true. You know, when you're in that silence, once you get over the sort of uncomfortableness of it, and once you get into that, you know, even going to like adoration and things like that and sitting in silence with the Blessed Sacrament is something that I guess can be difficult if you're not used to it. But once you get used to it, it's like...
We see that, yeah. We see that in the Bible, and we see that in Scripture all the time, that God speaks in the silence, you know. And
yeah, so hopefully God's speaking to a lot of people in this time of silence. You know, as we say, it's been difficult for a lot of people, but
yeah, absolutely difficult, you know. And I think it's funny, you know, it's like a seed inside people, and you think, you know, I'm going back to Sister Roseanne's kind of quote about being like a mushroom, like kept in the dark and fed. but it's just like, you know, seeds grow in the darkness, seeds grow hidden, and I think, you know, who'd want to be stuck in a big bag of compost? But from that dark place, and that horrible place, a beautiful flower can grow, and we can take this quarantine and we can plant a seed, and then after we can sprout. I was joking to my friends. I was like, well, you know, I've lost 2 stone. I've grown a beard. I've like went in a cocoon, like a wee fat caterpillar, and come out like a big beautiful butterfly. I'll get you on, but I'm just trying to take the positives out of things. But I hope
I mean, that's the thing. You need to stay positive, don't you? And even with all the hardships that's happening, like there's been a few difficult things that have happened in this time, but you know, you just need to kind of make the best of it. And you know, I've been on to, you know, in Zoom with friends in the evening and things as well, and I've spoken to friends that I haven't in a long time as well. So that's, you know, you're having this time to catch up with people, and it's actually been really nice. So yeah, and things are changing. Like in terms of events, like we said at the very start, you know, SPUC always has the annual pro-life chain in the 27th of April every year, and that's to kind of commemorate the Abortion Act coming into effect in the UK. So obviously the witness that would normally happen of all around the UK, people standing and witness at roadsides, can't happen. But SPUC are encouraging people to do that in prayer this year, and just take, you know, a bit of time to pray for the unborn, and you know, be that sort of, you know, and witness in whatever way you can.
That's a really good way to kind of, you know, encourage people to do prayer, and we'll highlight that, you know, of course, via SPUC and also via our pages, that this is something we really should be thinking about at this point in time. So thanks, Louise, for inviting me into your quarantine situation.
Yeah, me and my wee Highland crew out here.
Oh yeah, I can see the Highland crew as well. I'm sure it's listening to you.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. Now, thanks for doing that. And of course, if anyone out there is feeling alone, and like, you know, Louise is doing well on herself, if someone is feeling alone, I'm absolutely here. Louise is there. Reach out, just drop us a message, and we're happy to give you a chat. And
exactly. Drop us a message.
Okay. Well,
nice talking to you.
You too, Louise. Enjoy your quarantines for tonight.
And your haircut's looking good, by the way. Tell your mother that's looking great.
See, I was a test guinea pig for the haircut. My daddy was got the better one because he was after me. Right. I was taking the brave kind of. This might end up pretty bad, but it worked out.
It's worked out okay. I'm not going to attempt mine myself. I think that would be a disaster.
Well, women get it easier. They get longer hair, so we can fix it up.
It's getting my nerves though. Starting to get my nerves.
It won't last long. But anyway, you'll get a haircut soon. So thanks, Louise, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.